Hello everyone, this is the Panda Photographer from 646studios.com, and I'd like to revisit the Sony A77 Mark II crop sensor wildlife sports camera. Now, this camera has not been praised or been given a lot of credit for what it can do, and I don't think a lot of people have actually really gone through it and really fully tested the capabilities after the firmware 2.00. Now, it also shoots really good flat video. I will show that to you guys, but stay tuned and find out if it's still worth keeping this camera in your arsenal.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Thank you guys for tuning into the video to make sure if you want to still use this Sony A77 Mark II body. It's important that you guys realize that this camera is no slouch. Now, this does have a 24.3 translucent mirror, and it's actually a crop sensor, and it shoots for wildlife and sports photography, but it can also be used for video, and I will get down to the details with you guys in a minute. But I just want to talk about the overall experience in the last 2 years. So this is a revisit video after 2 years of using this camera. Now, I'm also using the Sony vertical grip, and I'm not using the aftermarket grip at all, so keep that in mind. But I do want to express how it has been performing and why this is my favorite crop sensor camera of all time, even so of other brands that I have used before. Now, yes, it's a little bit heavy on the heavy side when put in the vertical grip with extra 2 batteries, and yes, it is pretty well built. It's weather sealed, by the way, if you guys don't know this. But I also want to take the time and tell you that it's also good for portraits. It's also good for videography. So I shoot with a flat profile, and when I point that right there, and you see from this sample that when I'm shooting flat profile, I'm like -2 contrast, -1 saturation, or -3 sharpness, or I can go all negative if I would like to, -3, -2, -3. It depends on my scene, it depends on the conditions of the lighting. Now, I am using the Sigma 18-35 Sigma art lens, and I found it to be the very excellent combination with these two, with this translucent mirror and the lens itself. Now, the lens does not have stabilization, but I have steady hands, so when I'm shooting, I'm always stuck in and shooting with this, and I'm always doing the focus by hand. But other than that, it does have good autofocus for the system and tracks pretty well. Sometimes it will miss here and there, but as you can see that the body itself is still in great shape. I had to put the protection screen on top of it, and as you can see, it's cracked. They protect the screen, but not the screen. It's because this camera has been used a lot, and I mean a lot. And I don't have a lot of actuations on it by far. I think I about have like under 20,000 actuations on this camera. But so let me just explain why you should use this camera for videography. Now, when I shoot video, I'm shooting in the Kodak, and my Kodak is pretty simple. I'm actually using the XAVCS at either 30p at 50 megabits per second, or 60p or 24. It depends on what I'm shooting and what I'm shooting as a videographer. Now, I do shoot raw when I'm doing stills or portraits, and especially night photography. And you guys probably want to know, is it still good to this day? I think this is probably the best all-around crop sensor camera that I have used, and it's never let me down when I'm doing night photography, astrophotography. It's never disappoint. The fact that like the buffer when I'm reading, and it depends on the SD card, by the way, keep that in mind. What you're using, I'm using a Lexard X1000, so the read rates is about 150 megabits, and it reads pretty quick, so the buffer on this camera is pretty good. Now, I did run into some complications where when I'm shooting video at the automatic focus, where it came to where it would get stuck at 3.5. I can't change it, and don't know sure why that may be, but I also also encountered this when I was watching a video today with the A99 Mark II would do the exact same thing, and Sony doesn't know what or how or why this is happening. And I'm sure and I'm hoping if they update the firmware for the A77 Mark II, they will address this and fix this, because I would like to control my aperture if I want to shoot at f8 or f5.6 in video. So keep that in mind. But there's really not too many flaws to this camera in my opinion, and I don't want to go to the flaws because this is a revisit camera. But one of the downsides to this, I'm going to bring up some downsides to this, is that the camera is a bit heavy with the vertical grip, but you have all your functionalities right here in front of you, so therefore you are not actually you're not missing anything when you need to do fast shooting. And it does have a burst of frames per second at 12 frames per second, which is really fast. And let me demonstrate that for you guys here and go. Pretty fast. So, and I'm shooting raw, so that was pretty good. But other than that, it's a really good camera and very stable. Now, I do want to talk about another thing about this camera, is that it doesn't have a headphone jack, which is kind of disappointing. But I found another way with my N4 end, we're connected to that, then have another input line connected to that to listen to audio. But I'm not really disappointed about it, but I do like how it has a DC-N adapter where you can connect extra power to it, which is pretty awesome, which is located here. I do like the fact that the screen is articulated, where you can change it in size if you want to shoot a selfie. But keep in mind that if you are going to put a shotgun mic on this camera, that you won't be able to see yourself, and that's the disappointing part. But to me, that's not really a downside, because if you have someone that's going to help you and you know your focal length and your distance by meters or feet, you should be fine. But other than that, it's a really crop sensitive camera. I do recommend it to this day. I'm not sponsored by Sony, I'm not sponsored by cinema, so keep that in mind. That I'm only here to revisit this camera because this is probably one of my favorite crop sensitive cameras. I think everyone should just go out and buy it. It's very affordable than the other crop sensitive expensive cameras, and it does a lot of FPS at sports camera and wildlife camera, wildlife and sports camera, and you get great frames per second with this, 12 frames per second in RAW. And as you can see, and let me demonstrate it again, just to keep in mind, if you do have this camera, it is superbly fast. So other than that, I just want to let you guys know that it works great with my Godox flashes, by the way, and it does work in high-speed sync, which is pretty awesome. And I do like how it's fast at 1/8000th of a second. So other than that, thank you for watching this revisit of the Sony A77 Mark II body, and hopefully this has helped you in long term to decide if you want to buy a Sony crop sensor camera, and which Sony crop sensor camera do you want to buy, and hopefully this one will be the choice. Other than that, thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my videos, or you have, please hit that like button, and please do hit that subscribe button, and follow me on all my social media websites at 646studios.com, Facebook at 646studios, Instagram at ThePandaPhotographer, and more social medias and the links down below. Thank you guys for watching this video, and hopefully you have a great day shooting, and see you guys in the next one.